I was brought up Catholic, and I was Catholic till I was about 18 years old, and then I left the church, and for 38 years I lived as a sort of avowed agnostic or atheist. And during that time I wrote a lot of books, and all of those books show an enormous amount of grief for a lost faith, a sadness, a melancholy, a tragic sense of someone groping alone in the world, guilt-ridden and grief-stricken, and yet unable to find any kind of connection with God. And those books of mine show a lot of obsession with the question of what is good and evil. Who can teach us in this world? If our authority figures have been questioned, who is our brother? Who is our sister? Do those people become our teachers if we cannot answer who is our father? Who is our mother? So it was more than threads. I mean, the subtext of all the Vampire Chronicles has to do with someone in an atheistic or agnostic universe trying to find meaning and saying, I insist that there is goodness, that goodness is there, I know it's there, and I'm going to try to live in a way that has some meaning or significance, even if I'm cursed, even if I'm damned, even if I'm considered to be beyond the pale. I'm going to struggle to do that. So that was certainly the case. And sometimes the Christian symbolism is so strong in some of my novels that it kind of hits you over the head. And I think that the blood in the Vampire Chronicles can be seen as a sort of Eucharistic symbol. I didn't realize how strongly until I was in New York and watching the Broadway musical of the Vampire Lestat. And when I saw that on the stage, I thought, well, of course this is a Eucharistic symbol. I mean, it's so incredibly blatant. I mean, but it's a dark, twisted version of the Eucharist. It's somebody seeking a transformation and an immortality in a desperate way, in a confused way, in a way that's basically doomed to failure. But it's definitely there. And the reason I stopped writing the Vampire Chronicles when I returned to faith and when I went back to the Catholic Church and I felt that I had to affirm my belief in God, the reason I stopped was not because I thought the books were evil or demonic or sinful or wicked. Nothing like that entered my mind. I stopped writing them because I had no more stories to tell with that particular mindset. I had changed. I had discovered my belief in God, my faith in Him, my love for Him, and I was living in a different universe. I was no longer in that dark universe where people struggled to affirm something when they were on the edge of despair. I was in a new universe where everything had meaning, everything spoke to me as having to do with God. So I wrote a new kind of fiction, and I gave up those old books. But to this day, I'm trying to articulate that turn for my readers. I get emails every day asking me, well, why can't you write another book about the Vampire Lestat? Or why is it sinful? Or why would you be a bad Christian? That's not the issue. I don't have any more stories to tell for that character. I wrote 11 books with him, and I talked about good and evil and guilt and grief and belief as best I could in those books because it was really all I wanted to talk about. And I'm now telling a different kind of story for a different kind of character. I can't go back and change that universe. I have to go on and write about the universe in which I live now.